Hi, everybody. So here I am to answer your questions about writing. Oh, hey, what's up? And oh, yeah, yay! Happy to see everybody. I guess I'll start with one of the questions that I get all the time, which is how did you come up with power? And I think a few people know the answer to this already, but I'm happy to just kind of start with it, which is that it really was, I was starting to write about my dad. And then I met Mark Canton and 50, and we all sort of collaborated. And, the parts that were about my dad, which were about image and all those things, and being a businessman and dealing with race and gender and all those things. Those were sort of cool. And we started talking about that and 50's life and combining it all. And then it all comes from characters, really. And that's where it started. Ooh, there's a good question. Let's see. So how many hours a day do I write? I write when I can every day. Maybe 2 hours if I can, but it's hard. It's hard to do that. So I try very hard to get that in, but sometimes it has to be after my daughter goes to bed. Let's see. What are key components to great storytelling and character development? Well, I would say the key element I can't say great storytelling because, you can't actually kind of know until you know, right? You can't know until other people are part of the process and they give you feedback. But in terms of character development, what I've always felt is super important is writing what you know emotionally, not literally what's happening to you, like being on quarantine, but you could write something about being away from the person that you love that will be very much about the thing that you're going through right now, which is about longing and wanting things to be different for sure. Let's see, let me ask, did I start as an author first? I tried to write a novel, I failed. So I figured out where I needed to be. What's coming up here? What was your biggest challenge with power? There were so many challenges. I guess the largest one is being away from my kid and obviously politics. Politics for sure could be a big deal, definitely. Let's see. I think I'm going to pop on. So let's see if that happens. All right. Where can I find all? Oh, hey, Ashley. Thank you for joining my live.
That was an accident.
Well, here you are. Everybody say hey to Ashley, who works for me on Ghost and now will be working for me on Dirty 30. I'll let you go. Don't worry, Ashley. I don't mind. It was good to see you, though. Okay. All right, let's see. Oh, what's up, Michael Rappaport? Nice to see you in here. How can you become a writer for TV if you don't have any experience? First of all, you got to write some scripts. And I always tell people you have to write 2 pilots. You have to write 2 spec episodes of existing shows. And you need to have something that's like a short story or a 1-act play. I personally don't read features. So when people are like, here's my feature, I'm like, I'm not going to read that. I don't have time to read 120 pages. So I think that's kind of, it's super important to get yourself a packet of work so that you have options. Have a comedy, have a drama, all those things. I have one here. Will the release of the new books of Power be affected or delayed by COVID? Sure, we had to stop shooting. So anytime you go on hiatus, that pushes things back. I can't tell you how far yet. The most important thing is the safety of our crew and of our cast to me. So even when the starter pistol goes off and people go back to production in New York, we're going to try to make sure that everything is safe first. Let's see. How can I pitch high conflict issues, i.e. Arab American life? Don't pitch that. Pitch a story. So what I mean by that is you don't pitch, here is a story about Arab American life. This is a story about people. This is a story about a family. This is a story about sisters or brothers or lovers. And then you start from the universal and then you add the specifics. Rebecca Wright is asking me, is there anywhere I can find a copy of All Scripts of Power? The Writers Guild Library should help you out with that. Let me see. I just want to find, so, okay. Let's see. Okay. It's trying to figure out, is there any tips for us writing multiple projects at once? I don't know. I'm trying to do that myself right now. I think the most important thing you can do is make sure that you dedicate one day to one project and another day to another project. I wouldn't try to work on multiple things in the same day if you can avoid it. If you can avoid it, you know what I'm saying? You may not be able to do that, you know? So we'll see how that goes. All right. Let's see, other questions. Am I interested in supernatural stories featuring people of color? The problem with supernatural stuff for me is that I find a lot of it unrelatable. I love like Star Trek. I love, you know, some science fiction stuff. I like some supernatural stuff as a fan. But in creating those worlds, I always find that I get bored because, and this is going to sound weird, but you can make up the rules as you go along. And I don't find that to be as interesting as being grounded in the real world. Let's see. What program do I use to write scripts? Final Draft. Our spin-offs going to be whole seasons or single episodes. Whole seasons is the plan. Let's see. All right. Besides good writing, what do you look for in a writer? An interview with a showrunner, what type of questions should a writer ask? Basically all the questions that I'm being asked right now. You know, ask the person about their writing process. Ask them about things that they want to know. You know, I think ask people about themselves. This is actually advice for any interview. Ask the person about themselves. Don't talk about yourself unless you're asked, because most people just want to talk about themselves. They're really, really into talking about themselves. So I think that's something that you could definitely look at. Let's see if there's more questions. Let's see. Oh, what do I look for in productions assistants and writers' PAs? This is actually a really good question, because this is usually how you get promoted in my world and how you become a staff writer. I usually promote from within. I want you to write a great script. I pick people off of their writing. I definitely pick people off of their writing. If you're not a writer, I don't want you to come work for me in the writer's room. There's no reason. And I don't train producers. I don't train directors. I'm not interested in any of that. Writers are my lifeblood. That's how I get inspired. So write great spec episodes of existing shows. I don't read pilots from people who are just starting out. And I've said that before, but that's the super important thing, is for you to write write a spec episode of an existing show. And I'll explain, just so I'm clear, the reason it's like that is because I'm hiring you to write not your show, but another show. Now, there are other writers who are showrunners who feel differently about that, and they want to read your pilot. I'm not one of them. Okay, let's see. What is the environment of a writer's room? Oh boy, it's like a free-for-all, I guess. It's like a bunch of people talking about story, yelling out pitches, eating food. You know, it's cool, it's fun. I mean, it's one of the best things about my job, for sure. So, you know, definitely. All right, let me see. What am I inspired by? Everything. Life. I mean, I used to tell people to go sit in Starbucks and just watch other people interact and and that's how you would learn how to write dialogue. But since you can't do that, I think one thing right now is just to watch shows that you are enjoying and listening to the dialogue. Oh, a lot of times people are in their own way. What's one thing you did that changed the trajectory of your screenwriting career? I stopped worrying about whether or not people would take me seriously because I was a Black woman. I think sometimes as people of color and as women, we're like expecting people not to take us seriously, and we carry that chip on our shoulder as we walk into situations, but you don't have to. You can just go in and tell a good story, and you don't have to have that. Now, will it happen? For sure. I mean, racism, sexism, homophobia, every ism is out there, but, you know, excellence is the great equalizer. So work your hardest and leave it out on the floor, and it'll work out. Let's see. Okay. I got a lot of questions here. Uh-oh, I somehow turned my screen around. There we go. Okay. Questions. Okay. Interesting questions. I'm not answering anyone who's asking me for an actor job. Let's see. Interesting stuff. Okay. A lot of people are telling me that they have scripts, and it's like, yeah, but you need to have those other things. You need to have those specs of existing shows. That's super important. Okay, what is your process for breaking story? That's a great question, Jose G. Castro. Well, you start out with, I think, I use index cards, and I start with scenes I want to see. I always start with scenes I want to see. What are the scenes I know I want to have in the show? And then the question is, how do I get those scenes, and do they make up a theme? Is there a theme that I can reach for that will tie all those scenes I want to see together? So the first thing, really honestly, is to write down those scenes you want to see, the scenes you have to see, the scenes that you know you need. Write them all down, and then put them on index cards, and then go, oh, okay, this is the connective tissue that puts them all together. I mean, I think that's super important. What is my backstory? How did I get my start? Wow, that's a great question. I got my start, I was writing my whole life ever since I was a little girl. My mom says that I was, you know, even as like a little baby, I was telling stories. They called them lies at the time, but they were still stories. I used to make up stories with like my chess pieces. I made up stories with my stuffed animals. I've always been doing that. But I got my start in television because I was writing at GQ magazine. I was an assistant there, and I wrote a story about interracial dating that was nonfiction. It was just a first person, and that got me involved with some writers named Alberghini and Chesler. And we came out and we created a show together, and it didn't get sold and it didn't work, but that's how it came to be. Okay, let's see. Are you planning on making any movies? I would like to direct, actually, an action movie. I really would love to do sort of high concept action, like a John Wick kind of situation. That would be really like the next thing that I would love to do. But I don't feel like I want to direct TV, and I will need to direct TV in order to do that. So we'll see, one step at a time, I think. Let's see, what else? Before I cast, we casted Omari Hardwick. Did I have any other actors in mind to play Ghost? No. Omari was the most, I mean, he was the only person really who had everything, right? Because he had this fierce intelligence, he had a great look, he had a toughness and a fierceness and a swagger. I mean, Omari kind of, I mean, it's the right actor shows up for the right part. People ask me about casting all the time, but when you write a part, sometimes the right person shows up. Sometimes you're the only one who knows it, and sometimes you're one of many who know it. And in Omari's case, there was no one else to me that could have done that in that way. I mean, even of like, if big names, I don't think there was anybody. Who is your favorite character from Power? Well, my favorite character? I don't have a favorite character because they're all different versions of me. I can tell you who the most fun to write for is Kanan. I think because Kanan is very id-based. He does whatever the hell he wants to do. And I'm not like that. I'm a Taurus. I'm very, like I do the right thing. I use my turn signals when I drive. And so Kanan was really freeing for me, for sure. Let's see. Let's look at more questions. This is so funny. Is Ghost dead? That made me laugh. Okay. What impact has this epidemic had on the film industry? Okay. When do I think things will pick back up? Gosh, I have no idea, The Butler. But the effect has been tremendous. Everyone's out of work. Writers are starting to begin to write again in Zoom rooms. But I don't know, we're the only people who can work away from each other, but I don't know what's going to happen overall. What I'm hoping is that we end up not having a writer's strike and that people can continue to work and that we'll be able to put as many scripts together as we can. And so I personally would like to have as many kind of scripts together as we could before we start shooting, because I'd like to shoot 2 seasons at once, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Let's see. Have I ever written a comedic story? Do I think a sitcom can work today? Yes, I love sitcoms, but I got fired from Bernie Mac because I wasn't funny. So I'm not planning to write a sitcom anytime soon. This is a good question. How do you develop a character? Well, you don't start with what they look like. A lot of times people go, well, I want to develop a woman. You want to develop a character that behaves in a certain way. Characters are about behavior. They're not about gender or race or, sexuality. They're not about that. It's like if you want to write something about a transgender character, for example, you don't write about them being trans. You write about them being a person and then they're going through something, but you don't start with the exterior. I hate that. That's one of my least favorite things is when people are like, well, I need a female character. It's like, no, you need a character who does X. That's so irritating to me. And it just goes, it's like, not so much with younger writers, but when it's people who are, older writers and they're like, or more experienced, and they say, well, I need a woman character. No, you need a character that falls in love with your main character. So if that's what you're looking for, what would that person be? Putting gender aside. Okay, so what do I look for when hiring a writer? I look for people who can make me laugh. And I know that's funny considering that Power is not necessarily a funny show, but it's funny in sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I think it would be ideal I always like people who write and make me laugh. I think probably have some insecurity about being funny in print, so I always like to have people who will do that. Except unsolicited scripts. It's just too dangerous. People like to sue you out here. So no, I don't read unsolicited work, unfortunately. Okay, I'm going to look at some more questions. Let's see. Okay. Will Tate's brother play a bigger role in Power? I hope so. I hope so. I would like that very much, to continue to work with Lamard. I think he's very talented. So yeah, definitely. Let's see. Okay. What is the process for multiple people writing characters or storylines? Oh, this is an interesting thing because people always get this wrong. They think that one writer on a staff writes all the scenes for one specific character. That's not how it works. We work in episodes. But what you do is you're a writer's room. So you all decide on the arcs for each character together, and then you write pieces of those arcs that come up in your episode. Who came up with punching the detective? LOL, that was me. I thought that would be funny. And Dre's the most hated person on earth. So him punching a woman, I thought was actually kind of cool in that case. Can't wait for more Lorenz Tate. me either. Lorenz is super talented. Have I considered a masterclass? I would love to do a masterclass. Let's see. Which perspective of the final episode was the most accurate? Oh, my dear. Okay. You may have kind of missed the point, but I'm going to try to explain. They're all accurate. That's the thing. Everyone's perspective is accurate within their own point of view. So the one that is most what you guys would consider accurate in the sense of like it's the one that matches the perspective that the audience has had all along is Ghosts 610. But they're all accurate. None of them is a lie. Okay. So Tommy was based on love. What about Tariq, Kanan, Dre, Angela? Wow, that's a lot. Tariq is brokenhearted because he had some really crazy parenting. Kanan, well, you'll see what Kanan is based on when you watch Raising Kanan. Dre didn't understand that he needed to learn. I mean, he's very millennial in that way. He didn't want to learn his lessons. And Angela, parts of Angela are based on me. Ooh, this is a good one. What impresses us most in humans? What impresses me most about humans? Resilience. How many pages could you write in 2 hours? Is no one disturbing me? Is my daughter at school or with her father or something? Is no one bothering me? Depends. And is there a deadline? Are we shooting it tomorrow? Because it's as many as you can. Will Lala be in another show with me? Hopefully. I want to write something for her. I think Lala is incredibly talented. Do I ever watch an episode back and regret any decisions? No. Regret is a dubious luxury of normal men. Once a decision's made, you got to move on from it. So let's see. Let me ask more questions. Tariq needed a whooping. You're hilarious. As though if his sister's death didn't change his course of action, I don't think anything can. Is structure more important than the story? They're the same thing. Structure is story. But if what you mean is like when I tell what part of the story, yeah, that's key to bringing your audience along. Where you break the story, like where you stop the story, is as important as the story that you're telling. So if you're breaking a story into episodes, each episode should end at like a cliffhanger point so you bring your audience back. Structurally, that's important. But story is the story you're telling, and structure is how you tell it. Let's see. Okay. Well, that's not very nice, actor Roger Lewis. Not interested in talking to you now. I loved Proctor's character. Was sorry to see him killed off the show. 100%. Was very sad. Very, very sad. How do I run my writer's room? What's your style? And a good idea can come from anywhere. That's super important. I don't really run it on a hierarchy in that way. So, it's like that. Oh, hi, Luis. Oh, it's really nice to hear from Luis Ramos. I owe you a phone call. I got to call you. How often do I look back at the script for continuity and Easter eggs? Constantly. Am I involved in the editing process? As a showrunner, you're involved in everything. Yes, I am involved in the editing process. I'm not an editor. The editors do the editing, but then I go in and give notes and switch scenes around and tell it, come out on this point and what music we should use. And so, show running is all of that. Okay, let's see. Let me ask more questions. If I want to write a show, where would I start? I guess the first question is, can you write other shows? Do you know how to imitate someone else's voice? Because if you don't, if you're not studying structure, I don't know, where do I start? To me, it's with characters. Characters are super important. Characters are everything. Okay. Again, I'm not taking questions that are like, how can I audition? How can I be in it? I'm not doing any of that. People are texting me, but I'm not actually going to check those texts, unfortunately. Is there another series that you felt was extremely well written? Many. But current series, you should check out The Affair. That's pretty great. My friend Sarah Treem writes that. Um, I think, lots of them. Homicide, Law and Order, Sisters back in the day. I mean, so many things. So many things. So, okay. Let's see. Would I write a play? I don't know. I don't know if I would write a play or not. I mean, I have written plays in the past. People are telling me my sound is messed up, but I'm not covering the mic. Thank you, Kish, but I'm not. I'm not even touching the mic, so I don't know what happened there. Can people hear me now? Guess if you're texting me. I wonder why my mic stopped working. Oh, it's fine now. Okay, great. Yeah, I wasn't covering the mic. I don't know. Who knows what happened, but what am I reading? Oh, hi, Sarah. What am I reading? I am not reading anything. My daughter's book, so I can homeschool her. I read a lot of spiritual books over and over again. I mean, that's really truthfully. And the honest thing is I read a lot of Emmett Fox. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but that's really, that's who I read a lot, honestly. Okay, so cool. Let's see. With Power being a cinematic universe, would you ever play with timelines or what if situations? That's fan fiction, guys. That's fan fiction. No, I'm not going to reboot or rewrite. And if I'm not going to, what if Ghost didn't die? What if Angela didn't die? All that's fan fiction. The story that we told is the story we told. And no, I'm not going to do that. I don't think that's actually, it's a weird thing. Somebody asked me about that. Like, do you try to make the audience happy? And it's not a question of not wanting the audience to be happy. It's actually more about not being able to, you don't react in real time. So we shoot the episodes so far before the audience sees them that you actually can't do that. It's weird. Someone had been sending me this thing of like, well, you should reshoot the episode so Ghost doesn't die. I was like, do you know how television works? That's insane. Like, no, you can't do that. So sorry about it. But anyway, so no. Who do I think is the most talented television writer? Kenya's really good. He's really good. Sasha Penn, who'll be running Raising Kanan. He's very talented. I mean, all the greats, Aaron Sorkin, John Wells. I mean, there's lots of people. Janine Sherman Barwa is super talented. I mean, there's a lot of people. How do you know what genre works for you? I can't answer that. I can only do what I can do, which is drama, so do I improvise? I let during the table read, I allow the actors to pitch alternative lines to what I've written, and if it's better, then I take their line. But we don't improvise on the set. That takes too much time. Oh yeah, Dick Wolf, word, Jay Yonez, however you say that, Dick Wolf, yes. 100%. Do I feel a resurgence of Black creatives? Oh, yeah, of course. Hi, Sophia. How do you know if I have a good idea on your hands? Well, it's universality. If the universal question is in there, Power's universal question is, does my past dictate my future? Everybody can relate to that. If it's not, then I don't know what to say. If there's no universal question, you probably don't have a great show. No, I'm not involved in the writing on For Life. For Life is run by a man named Hank Steinberg, who's a tremendous writer. But no, I'm not involved in that in any way. Who wrote most of Jamie and Angie's relationship? Well, that, again, it's not specific people who write specific characters. I mean, everybody writes everything. Are there any Black female showrunners that inspire me? All of us inspire me in different ways. But I'd have to say, again, I would go to Janine, who was an inspiration and a mentor, Yvette Lee Bowser, a huge mentor and an incredibly talented woman. I mean, I could keep going on and on and on. How did I decide when to end Power? Been trying to end, I knew I was going to end, I was trying to end Power at 5. People are texting me. I'm not checking my texts. So, let's see. Any advice for aspiring showrunners? Yeah, don't aspire to be a showrunner. Aspire to be a great writer first, because showrunning is about writing. First and foremost, it's about writing. It's about being able to write a new scene or a new script overnight or within 4 hours. Or within 3 hours, rewrite scenes within an hour, within half an hour, within 15 minutes, because they're going to be shooting them. It's not about showrunning. Showrunning is something you get to later. What kind of education do you need to do what I do? You don't need any specific education to do what I do at all. One of the writers I worked with for the longest period of time, Gary Lennon, he wasn't like super educated. He's just good. You know, you don't need to do that. You don't need to be something on paper in order to be great. That's not a real thing. When you are met with resistance in your writing, what's up, Caroline? How do you move through it and continue telling your story? I had to, when I first wrote, and I think if you were on my Zoom, I said this, but it's important. When I first started writing my first pilot, I actually had I had to write a companion piece on the side, which was my interior, what RuPaul calls your inner saboteur, but that voice inside me that was like, you suck, you suck. I had to fire her every day. Literally had to fire her every single day, because she would show up when I was working and say, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. And so I suggest writing that person or that voice that's inside you, and then firing them every single day. Do you know how the story is going to end before you write it? Yes. Write toward something. Let's see. Where can you send me your work? You cannot. I don't take unsolicited scripts. Do African American writers stereotype themselves? No, I don't think so. I think we write what we know. This Power Book 2 released June or July. Things are going to change because of COVID for sure. So I can't answer that. Let's see. Miss, I'm asking you a question. Wait, this is hilarious. Why did kill Ghost if Ghost is coming back? Who said Ghost is coming back? What are you talking about? Okay. Forget all the work stuff. How are you and your family doing through this quarantine? Thank you for asking the question. We're all trying to do our best to hang in there. You know what I mean? We're all trying to do our best to hang in there, but I'm very blessed. I'm okay. My daughter's okay. The people on my show who were ill are getting better. And, and my mom is in quarantine. So that's good. Okay. Do I recommend any screenwriting books? Charles also asked me this question. It's not a screenwriting book. My favorite books on writing are Writing Down the Bones and Bird by Bird. Writing Down the Bones is Natalie Goldberg. Bird by Bird is Anne Lamott. Let's see. Okay. Are you still filming book 2 or are you wrapped? We were interrupted by COVID. What laptop do I write on? MacBook Air. Am I single? That's funny. Let's see. Who else? Let's see. Did anyone ever get mad at you if they thought a character was based on them? No, people don't usually get mad, although my mother said to me once, I am not Estelle. And I was like, okay, literally word for word things she said to me are in Estelle's mouth. And I'm like, okay, Mom, sure. Okay, let's see. Ooh, God, more questions. All right. Let's see. Oh. Okay. Whoever sent like 1,000 of the same questions, super not cool. Do I have a dream cast I'd like to write for? Well, yeah. I mean, there's a ton of people I'd like to work with. You know, I am obsessed with Regina King. She's one of my heroes. I really love Sam Jackson, not only as an actor, but as like a person. He's super dope. I've met him a couple times. He's really amazing. LaTanya Richardson Jackson, who I met before Sam, is like a tremendous inspiration to me. Like, she is such a badass. Angela Bassett, obviously, Courtney B. Vance, her husband. I'd love to work with them. I mean, I got a lot of people, for sure. A lot of people that I would like to work with. Let's see, why didn't we learn more about Ghost's parents? It felt like there were a lot of Easter eggs we never got to see. I think Easter egg is actually something that you leave for the fans to find. But Ghost's parents abandoned him. So that's why they're not really in it that much. But I certainly can go into that somewhere at some point. Okay, let's see. Okay, Mekhi Phifer in book 3. No, Omar Epps is in book 3. Fun fact about me. My favorite place in the world is Laguna Beach. Let's see. Okay. Trying to look at more things. Wow, you really sent that 4 times? Okay. Okay. Do you plan out the character's story till the end or as you go? Well, you should know where you're driving, for sure. Hi, Elizabeth. Yeah, you should know. You should know where you're going, but you want to be flexible too. You definitely want to be flexible. Someone said, am I a makeup artist on the low? Well, I was a makeup artist prior to writing, and I'm still obsessed with beauty and skin. And one of my dreams is to have my own cosmetics company someday. So I think Lawrence Fishburne and Angela Bassett should play James' parents if you decide to do a prequel of James's backstory. Well, they don't really look like him. I'm kind of weird about that, where I really hate when people just like throw black people in and cast them with no thought about what they would look like, what the person would actually look like. My dream casting for Ghost's mom, I actually already used as Dre's mom, who was Amy Brabson. So when is my birthday? May 4th. I've read that your father really inspired you. What do you think he would say about your work so far? He'd be really mad that I killed Ghost. He would be proud, but he'd also be like, can you do better? Can you do better? Yes, I'm a Taurus. I am a Taurus rising, and I'm a Taurus sun sign. I'm a real Taurus. Scorpio moon, though, so please don't cross me. It's a whole scene. All right, there we go. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. What does my self-care look like when writing about deeply personal stuff? Okay, well, that's a tough thing because it's hard to have self-care. It's just hard to have it. So it's hard to be a good showrunner and a good mom, and you know, it's just tough. I mean, I'm not the only woman who says this right now, but it's really interesting how difficult it is to even feed yourself some days during this quarantine, because you're just like, I fed the kid, I'm trying to do this and everything, but it's super important to try to have some self-care. So trying to do that. I'm going to end this soon, but let's see. May the 4th be with me. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Will we have any surprise returns of certain characters? Absolutely. Absolutely. There are a few people who will pop up. Do I watch Power After Buzz TV? Sometimes Bam pisses me off so much that I can't. If Bam is watching this, what's the biggest challenge being you? It was the biggest challenge being anybody. We're all human. We all have desires and needs and wants, and You know, I'm reminded often of that phrase, your arms are too short to box with God. So I think it's just the challenge of being me is the challenge of being anybody else, which is just one day at a time. Oh, somebody asked me what it was like to work with 50. 50 is great. Like, he's so smart and interesting and like has great ideas and just, you know, like he is all the different things. He's 50 Cent, he's Curtis Jackson. He's just, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. So, you know. All right, I'm going to answer like 2 more questions. Was it hard to say goodbye to the original Power? In ways, in some ways, and in some ways it was time for the next challenge. Wait, what shows do you recommend to study for writing? If you are a drama person like me, I would suggest that you watch The West Wing, watch Homicide: Life on the Street, watch anything Tom Fontana is involved in, watch anything that like, you know, Law and Order, yeah, Dick Wolf, definitely. To be honest with you, watch the first couple seasons of CSI. That's a really well written show. Things that are on now, FBI is well written. Craig Turk is smart. The Good Wife, man, The Good Wife and The Good Fight. The Kings know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. The Shield. Watch The Shield. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let me think of, is there anything else? I mean, there's so much good stuff out there. There's so much good stuff out there. I mean, it's like, there's so many things, but honestly, I mean, there's some basic truths about what makes us like universal. Oh my God, Power_Ghost. First of all, dude, come on, stop asking this question. He keeps asking me why no funeral for Ghost. I hate to say this, but I will say it. If anyone paid attention to the timeline of the series, Ghost dies, and then basically the show ends 24 hours after that. Is there anyone who's buried in 24 hours in a non-Jewish religion? No. Man, oh man. I do not understand how people, man, oh man. Anyway, just because you didn't see it doesn't mean it won't happen. Oh yes, The Wire, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Would I ever cross over my show with like Chicago PD? You can't do that. That doesn't work. The shows are not owned by the same studio. So guilty pleasure. I don't have a guilty pleasure. I'm not guilty about anything. I love the Captain Underpants series. Really well written. Got to tell you guys. Let's see. Okay. I think I'm pretty much done. So, oh, hi, Woody. Good to see you. Was killing Ghost always the plan? Dead or in jail? Told you guys up front. It's in the episode 101. So there we go. All right. I think one more question. Can I smoke in the writer's room? Oh, come on, man. No. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, yes. I will end on this one. Advice for screenwriters still in college. Get good grades and write screenplays. Continue to write and study the shows that you love and write specs of those. If you can start learning how to ape somebody else's voice, that will be really huge. So, yeah, that's what I would say. Okay. Have a great day, everybody. This was really fun. You know, use this time wisely. If you can, write.